Just for today. Just for today, let's take a little time to consider how we approach things. Periodic evaluation, a very valuable exercise every few months. Just to kind of look back, this past 3 months or so, how have I been approaching things? There's an old saying, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you cannot, you are correct. Your level of belief has an impact on the end result. I had a friend of mine a couple of years ago. She was smart and she was kind and she also liked being right. Now this friend, she had to move out of her apartment a few months earlier than her lease said she would. There were about, I believe, 3 months left on the lease, but she had found a great opportunity to move and she wanted to take advantage of that opportunity. She was scheduled to go into the leasing office in the morning, and we were talking that night prior, and she kept saying to me, I know they're going to deny it. I tried a little bit to convince her to be optimistic about it, but she seemed committed to the fact that the manager would deny her request to break the lease early. Since she knew it would be denied, she neglected to do any research about her rights in the situation. And since she knew it would be denied, she neglected to do any research about the pros and cons from the manager's perspective as to why or why not they would allow a tenant to break a lease. She knew they would deny it, so she put forth no effort to find any kind of leverage or bargaining chips. She knew it would be denied. That next morning, after it had been denied, she called me to let me know. And I couldn't help but think, would she purposely sabotage the meeting to guarantee that it would be denied? It would make her right. And not to be too extraordinary, but I know that if I went into a situation with a bad attitude, I could undoubtedly create an energy that would make it difficult for anyone to want to help me. And I believe we each have that ability. I also know that if I went into a situation with a good attitude, I could butter a person up to the point that it creates an energy that makes it more likely that a person would be willing to help me. Whether you believe you can or whether you believe you cannot, you are correct. What if I wanted success, but I was using an approach that frequently leads to despair? Wouldn't it be helpful to periodically evaluate what I'm doing to make sure I'm going in the right direction? There's only one person who truly knows how you are approaching things, and that person is you. Periodic evaluation is necessary. We want to make sure we are going in the right direction so we can have a good chance to get to our preferred destination. It's like the little girl at Thanksgiving dinner. Little girl asked her mom, "Hey mom, we always cut the end off of the ham for Thanksgiving dinner. Why do we always cut the end off of the ham?" Mom said, "Well, that's a good question. The reason I do it is because my mom always did it. I don't know, you have to go ask her why she did it." So the little girl goes, finds her grandma. Grandma, why do we always cut the end off of the ham for Thanksgiving dinner? Every year we cut the end off of the ham before we put it into the oven. And Grandma says, "That's a pretty good question. I don't know, to be honest with you. I only do it because I saw my mom doing it. That's the way she did it, so that's the way I do it. You'd have to go ask my mom." So the little girl goes to the back room where her great-grandma is sitting. And she says, Great grandma, I got a question. Why do we cut the end off of the ham for Thanksgiving dinner? Every year we cut the end off of this ham for Thanksgiving dinner. Mom says she did it because Grandma did it. Grandma says she did it because you did it. Why do we cut the end off of the ham? Great grandma says, "That's a great question. Nobody's ever asked me that. I cut the end off of the ham because my oven was too small and it wouldn't fit unless I cut the end off." The little girl says, but grandma's oven is big enough and mom's oven is big enough, so why are they still cutting the end off of the ham? Great grandma says, probably because they never took the time to stop to ask Why are we doing this? No one had ever stopped to ask until you. Periodic evaluation is necessary. What are some simple things that you're doing, been doing for decades? And if you were to think about, why am I doing this? Is it helping me to accomplish the goal? You may not have a strong answer for that. Take the time to evaluate how we're approaching things, just to make sure we're going in the right direction. Are we approaching things with courage, with faith? Or are we approaching things with fear and with doubt? She knew it was going to be denied. Are we approaching things with accountability? Or do we blame others and give others false authority over us? Are we approaching things with discipline? Or are we approaching things with procrastination and apathy? Are we approaching things with gratitude? Or are we approaching things with entitlement and complaints? The way we approach things has an effect on the results we receive. There's an old saying, whether you believe you can or whether you believe you cannot, you are correct. Your level of belief has an impact on the end result. So let's take a little time today to consider our approach. Thank you.